Ladies and gentlemen, today we explore a quality not born of brute strength, but of subtle mastery, mental toughness. This is not about resisting life's storms, but about navigating them with grace, clarity, and unwavering purpose. Life, as we all know, is unpredictable. It flows like a river, sometimes smooth, sometimes turbulent. Yet when we resist its flow, clinging to certainties, fearing change, we weaken ourselves. Mental toughness begins when we embrace this flow, recognizing that it is not obstacles but resistance to them that truly limits us. At the heart of mental resilience lies a profound truth: control is an illusion. We spend so much of our energy grasping at outcomes, trying to bend the world to our will. But true strength arises when we release this need. In the space left behind, we find adaptability, creativity, and the freedom to meet life as it is, not as we wish it to be. Adversity, pain, and failure are inevitable, but they are also transformative. Every hardship is a teacher, every setback a chance to grow. Mental toughness is not the absence of pain, it is the ability to transform it into wisdom and strength. To do so, we must lean in, not turn away. The present moment is our greatest ally. A mind weighed down by regrets of the past or fears of the future becomes brittle, prone to breaking under pressure. Yet when we anchor ourselves in the here and now, we find clarity. And from clarity arises the strength to face whatever comes our way. Fear and failure are often misunderstood. Fear signals the edges of our comfort zone. Failure, the foundation of mastery. When we reframe these experiences as opportunities rather than threats, we unlock a wellspring of courage. Finally, amid all the noise of life, the chatter of the world, and the chaos of our minds, we must cultivate stillness. Stillness is not passive, it is a powerful state of presence. It is here, in the calm within, that we find the resilience to weather any storm. To become mentally tough is not to become unfeeling or unyielding. It is to become fluid, adaptable, and steadfast, a paradox that strengthens us in ways no external force ever could. So I invite you today to embrace the flow, to let go of control, to find wisdom in hardship, and to master the art of presence. For in doing so, you will discover not just mental toughness, but the profound strength of being fully alive. Thank you. Life, in its essence, is a rhythm, a continuous, unbroken dance of creation, destruction, and renewal. When we look closely, we can see this rhythm everywhere: in the waves of the ocean rising and falling, in the cycles of the moon waxing and waning, and even in the simple act of breathing. To live is to be part of this flow, an ever-moving current that carries us through moments of joy and sorrow, triumph and despair. Yet, despite its constancy, many of us find ourselves resisting this natural rhythm, caught in a futile struggle to force life into a shape that suits our desires or expectations. This resistance doesn't strengthen us, it depletes us. True mental toughness, the kind that carries us through the trials and tribulations of existence, begins when we embrace this flow rather than fight against it. Consider for a moment the behavior of water. Water does not resist, it adapts. When it encounters a rock in its path, it flows around it. When it meets a dam, it gathers strength and eventually overcomes. Its power lies not in rigidity, but in flexibility. This is a profound metaphor for mental toughness. We often mistake toughness for a kind of unyielding strength, a refusal to bend or compromise. But rigidity is the hallmark of something brittle, something that will shatter under enough pressure. True strength lies in adaptability, in the capacity to move with the currents of life rather than against them. This is not weakness, it is the ultimate expression of resilience. To embrace the flow of life is to accept that change is inevitable. Seasons change, people change, and circumstances evolve in ways we often cannot predict. Yet our instinct is to cling to what is familiar, to hold on to the illusion of permanence. We attach ourselves to jobs, relationships, identities, and routines as though they are fixed, unchangeable aspects of our reality. When these things inevitably shift, when a loved one leaves, when a career path diverges, or when our health falters, we feel as though the ground beneath us has been swept away. In truth, the ground was never stable to begin with, it was always moving. The discomfort we feel in these moments is not caused by change itself, but by our refusal to flow with it. Imagine standing in a river, the current rushing around your legs. If you stand rigid and try to resist the flow, The water pushes against you with increasing force, threatening to knock you over. But if you loosen your stance, if you allow your body to move with the water, you remain upright, balanced, and connected to the current. This is the essence of mental toughness, not to be unyielding in the face of life's challenges, but to remain fluid, adaptable, and responsive. This approach does not mean passivity. To embrace the flow of life is not to surrender to every external force or to resign yourself to a life without agency. It is rather a way of engaging with the world from a place of deep awareness and understanding. When you move with the flow, you conserve your energy. You stop wasting your strength on battles you cannot win, on trying to control outcomes that are beyond your reach. Instead, you channel that energy into what truly matters: adapting, learning, and growing. This principle can be applied to every aspect of life. In relationships, for instance, we often resist the natural ebb and flow of connection. We cling tightly to people, fearing the loss of intimacy, or we push them away, unwilling to face vulnerability. But relationships, like everything else, are dynamic. They evolve over time, shaped by the experiences and growth of the individuals involved. To resist this evolution is to invite frustration and pain. But to flow with it, to accept the changing nature of connection, allows us to build bonds that are resilient, authentic, and deeply fulfilling. The workplace offers another example. Careers, like rivers, rarely follow a straight path. Opportunities arise and fade, challenges emerge unexpectedly. The rigid mind sees these twists and turns as obstacles, as disruptions to a carefully laid plan. The adaptable mind, however, sees them as opportunities for growth and reinvention. By embracing the flow of professional life, we open ourselves to possibilities we might never have considered, allowing us to thrive even in the face of uncertainty. Even on a personal level, the flow of life manifests in our emotions and thoughts. Feelings come and go like waves, rising and falling without warning. Yet we often try to control them, to suppress what feels unpleasant or cling to what feels good. This effort only creates inner tension, leaving us exhausted and disconnected from ourselves. When we allow emotions to flow freely, without judgment or resistance, we create space for healing and self-discovery. Ultimately, to embrace the flow of life is to live in harmony with the natural order of existence. It is to recognize that life is not something to be conquered or mastered, but something to be experienced and participated in. The more we align ourselves with this truth, the stronger we become, not in the rigid, brittle sense of strength, but in the fluid, enduring way of water. The notion of control is one of the greatest illusions we hold on to in life. From a young age, we are conditioned to believe that with enough effort, planning, and precision, we can shape our world exactly as we desire. We are taught to think that outcomes can be predicted, that success can be guaranteed, and that life can be neatly organized if we simply try hard enough. But as we step into the unpredictable current of reality, this illusion begins to crumble. The harder we grasp for control, the more it eludes us, slipping through our fingers like sand. Mental toughness, paradoxically, does not come from tightening our grip, but from releasing it, from recognizing that true strength lies in the ability to move gracefully through uncertainty. Control is seductive because it provides the illusion of safety. We feel secure when we believe we can anticipate what's coming next, that we can mitigate risks and navigate life without surprises. But this desire for certainty often leads us down paths of rigidity and anxiety. We build elaborate structures around our lives' plans, schedules, routines, believing they will shield us from chaos. Yet life in its infinite complexity rarely abides by our designs. Unexpected events, a job loss, a sudden illness, a relationship-ending tear through these structures, leaving us feeling disoriented and powerless. It is in these moments, when control slips from our grasp, that we realize it was never truly ours to begin with. The resistance to uncertainty creates a constant undercurrent of stress. When we cling to the need for control, we are perpetually battling against the natural flow of life, which is inherently unpredictable. This resistance exhausts us both mentally and emotionally. We become consumed by what-ifs, trying to account for every possible scenario and outcome. Instead of living fully in the present moment, our minds are entangled in the future, trying to manipulate outcomes that may never come to pass. This endless striving for control is not a sign of strength, but of fear of the unknown, of vulnerability, of losing the sense of agency we cling to so tightly. Letting go of control does not mean surrendering to chaos or becoming passive in the face of life's challenges. It is not an abdication of responsibility, but a shift in perspective. To release control is to accept that while we cannot dictate the outcomes of life, we can influence how we respond to them. It is an acknowledgement of the limits of our power, paired with a deep trust in our ability to navigate whatever comes our way. This trust is the foundation of mental toughness. It allows us to approach life with openness and adaptability, rather than fear and rigidity. When we let go of the illusion of control, we begin to see the world with greater clarity. Without the need to manipulate every aspect of our lives, we become more attuned to the opportunities and possibilities around us. The mind, no longer preoccupied with futile attempts to predict the future, becomes free to focus on the present. This presence fosters creativity, problem-solving, and resilience, enabling us to respond to challenges with wisdom and flexibility. Instead of reacting impulsively out of fear, we can act deliberately, guided by a calm and centered mind. This shift in mindset also transforms our relationship with uncertainty. Instead of viewing it as a threat, we come to see it as a natural part of life, one that carries both challenges and possibilities. Uncertainty becomes less of a void to be feared and more of a space for growth and discovery. It is within this space that we find the freedom to explore, to take risks, and to embrace the unknown. The courage to step into uncertainty, knowing we cannot control what lies ahead, is a hallmark of mental toughness. Letting go of control also deepens our connections with others. Relationships often falter when we try to control the people around us, expecting them to meet our expectations or conform to our desires. This need for control can create tension and resentment, undermining the trust and intimacy that form the foundation of meaningful connections. When we release this need, we allow others to be themselves, to grow and evolve in their own way. This acceptance strengthens relationships, fostering mutual respect and understanding. On a broader level, releasing control aligns us with the natural rhythms of life. Just as the seasons change without our intervention, so too do the circumstances of our lives unfold in ways we cannot predict or dictate. By letting go, we become participants in this flow, rather than adversaries to it. This does not mean we are powerless, rather it means we channel our energy into what we can influence: our actions, our attitudes, our choices, rather than wasting it on what lies beyond our reach. This alignment brings a sense of peace, as we stop fighting against the inevitable and start moving with it. Pain and hardship are universal experiences, woven into the very fabric of human existence. No one is immune to the challenges life presents, whether they come in the form of personal loss, failure, rejection, or unforeseen obstacles. These moments of discomfort often feel like insurmountable barriers, testing our strength, resolve, and patience. Yet if we look closely, we find that these difficulties are not mere punishments or meaningless suffering. They are opportunities, the raw material from which resilience is forged and mental toughness is built. Pain, when approached with the right mindset, can become a powerful force for transformation and growth. In our natural aversion to discomfort, we tend to view pain as something to avoid at all costs. Society often reinforces this perspective, offering countless distractions and comforts that allow us to escape or numb the sting of hardship. But in doing so, we miss the profound lessons pain has to teach us. Pain is not an enemy, it is a messenger, calling our attention to areas of our lives that need healing, growth, or change. It pushes us to confront the truths we might otherwise ignore, urging us to break free from complacency and step into a deeper understanding of ourselves and the world around us. When we experience failure, for example, the immediate reaction is often one of shame or self-doubt. We see failure as a reflection of our inadequacies, a sign that we are not capable or worthy. Yet failure is one of life's greatest teachers. It reveals the gaps in our knowledge, the flaws in our strategies, and the limits of our current abilities. By examining our failures with curiosity rather than judgment, we gain invaluable insights that enable us to improve and grow. Each setback becomes a stepping stone, guiding us toward greater competence and understanding. The same is true of emotional pain. Loss, heartbreak, and disappointment are among the most challenging experiences we face, often leaving us feeling broken or adrift. But these moments also have the power to deepen our capacity for empathy, compassion, and connection. When we allow ourselves to fully feel and process emotional pain, rather than suppressing or avoiding it, we develop a greater understanding of the human condition. This understanding not only strengthens us, but also enhances our ability to support and connect with others, creating a sense of shared humanity that is both grounding and uplifting. Adversity also has a way of stripping away the superficial, forcing us to focus on what truly matters. When life becomes difficult, we are often compelled to reevaluate our priorities, shedding the distractions and trivial concerns that once consumed us. This process of refinement can lead to a clearer sense of purpose and direction, as we learn to align our lives with our core values and aspirations. In this way, pain acts as a catalyst for authenticity, helping us to live more fully and intentionally. Moreover, hardship teaches us the art of endurance. It is through enduring difficult times that we discover the depths of our inner strength, realizing that we are far more capable than we might have believed. This realization builds confidence not in a superficial or arrogant way, but in a deeply rooted sense of self-assurance. We come to understand that while we cannot control every aspect of life, we can trust in our ability to navigate its challenges. This trust becomes a source of mental toughness, allowing us to face future difficulties with courage and resilience. It is also important to recognize that pain is not permanent. Like all things in life, it is transient, passing through us like a storm that eventually gives way to clearer skies. This impermanence does not diminish the intensity of pain in the moment, but it offers a perspective that can help us endure it. When we accept that pain is a temporary state, we are less likely to become overwhelmed by it. Instead, we can sit with it, allowing it to teach us what it needs to before it moves on. In leaning into pain rather than resisting it, we also develop a greater sense of agency. While we cannot always choose the circumstances that cause us pain, we can choose how we respond to them. This choice is where our power lies. By approaching pain with curiosity, courage, and a willingness to learn, we transform it from a source of suffering into a tool for growth. Each time we do so, we strengthen our mental and emotional resilience, becoming better equipped to face the challenges that lie ahead. Pain, then, is not a sign of weakness, but a pathway to strength. It is through grappling with difficulty that we develop the skills, perspectives, and inner resources needed to thrive. This process is not easy, nor is it quick. It requires patience, self-compassion, and a willingness to engage with the discomfort of growth. But in doing so, we uncover the profound truth that within every hardship lies the potential for transformation, and within every moment of pain, the seeds of resilience are sown. In the rush of modern life, where everything demands attention and the mind is perpetually drawn in 100 directions, the art of being fully present often feels like an elusive ideal. Yet the ability to be present is the foundation upon which true mental toughness is built. To be present is not merely to exist in a moment, but to immerse oneself completely in it, unburdened by the weight of the past or the pull of the future. It is an act of profound focus, awareness, and connection that allows us to face life's challenges with clarity and composure. The mind, by its very nature, is restless. It constantly revisits the past, replaying moments of regret, nostalgia, or resentment. Simultaneously, it leaps into the future, speculating, worrying, and planning. This dual pull fragments our attention, scattering it across time and space until we are no longer fully here. This fragmentation weakens us. It erodes our capacity to make decisions, solve problems, and engage with the present moment. When we are consumed by thoughts of what has been or what might be, we lose sight of what is this very moment, the only reality in which we have any power to act. Mental toughness begins with reclaiming this power. When we master the art of presence, we step into a state of heightened awareness. This awareness is not about trying to control or manipulate the present moment, but about fully experiencing it as it unfolds. It is a practice of observing without judgment, of engaging without attachment, and of allowing the moment to be exactly as it is. In this state, the mind becomes clear, steady, and unshaken no matter what challenges arise. Consider how presence transforms the experience of stress. When faced with a difficult situation, the mind often spirals into overanalysis, worrying about potential outcomes or dwelling on past mistakes that might have contributed to the current problem. This mental chatter amplifies stress, creating a sense of overwhelm that clouds our judgment and drains our energy. But when we bring our focus back to the present moment, we strip the situation of these added layers of fear and regret. We see it for what it is, a challenge to be addressed one step at a time. This clarity allows us to respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively, enabling us to approach the situation with greater effectiveness and resilience. The practice of presence also deepens our connection to ourselves. In the noise and busyness of life, it is easy to lose touch with our own inner landscape, the thoughts, emotions, and sensations that shape our experience. We become so caught up in external demands and distractions that we fail to notice what is happening within us. Presence invites us to turn our attention inward, to observe the ebb and flow of our thoughts and feelings without getting swept away by them. This self-awareness is a cornerstone of mental toughness, as it allows us to recognize and regulate our emotional responses, stay grounded in difficult moments, and act in alignment with our values and goals. Presence is equally transformative in our relationships. When we are fully present with another person, we create a space of genuine connection and understanding. We listen not just with our ears, but with our whole being, giving the other person our undivided attention. This kind of listening is rare and powerful. It fosters trust, empathy, and mutual respect. At the same time, it strengthens our own sense of resilience as we learn to navigate interpersonal dynamics with openness and grace rather than defensiveness or distraction. Achieving presence requires practice and intention, especially in a world designed to pull our attention away from the here and now. Our devices, our schedules, and even our thoughts conspire to keep us anywhere but here. Cultivating presence begins with small, simple acts of mindfulness, focusing on the sensation of the breath, tuning into the sounds around us, or fully engaging with a single task without multitasking. These practices train the mind to return to the present moment over and over again until it becomes a natural state of being. Another key to presence is acceptance. To be present is to embrace the moment as it is, without resistance or judgment. This does not mean passivity or resignation, but rather a willingness to face reality with honesty and openness. When we resist the present, wishing it were different, comparing it to an imagined ideal, or trying to escape it, we create unnecessary suffering. Acceptance, on the other hand, frees us to respond to the moment with clarity and courage. It allows us to meet life on its own terms, finding strength and resilience in the process. Presence also requires letting go of the need for perfection. The present moment is rarely perfect in the way we might hope or expect. It is often messy, unpredictable, and uncomfortable. But it is also rich with possibility, beauty, and truth. When we let go of the need to control or idealize the moment, we open ourselves to its full depth and complexity. We discover that even in the midst of difficulty, there is something to be learned, something to be appreciated, and something to be grateful for. In cultivating presence, we do not eliminate challenges or hardships, but we transform our relationship with them. We stop seeing them as insurmountable obstacles and start seeing them as part of the flow of life, temporary, manageable, and meaningful in their own way. Presence gives us the strength to endure, the wisdom to adapt, and the clarity to act. It is not a magic solution to life's problems, but a steady foundation that allows us to face them with grace and resilience. Life is a web of connections, an intricate network of relationships and interactions that shape who we are and how we experience the world. At the heart of this network lies one of the most profound yet challenging aspects of human existence: connection with others. It is through these connections that we find meaning, support, and understanding. But these same connections can also be sources of tension, conflict, and vulnerability. To cultivate mental toughness, it is essential to develop the ability to maintain strong, authentic relationships while navigating the complexities they often bring. True strength is not found in isolation or detachment, but in the courage to connect deeply with others and sustain those bonds even in the face of difficulty. Relationships are both fragile and resilient. They require care, attention, and effort to thrive, and yet they can withstand immense pressure when built on a foundation of trust and mutual respect. Mental toughness in the realm of relationships begins with understanding that connection is not about control or perfection, but about presence and authenticity. It is about showing up fully with all our imperfections and allowing others to do the same. This vulnerability can feel risky, as it opens us to the possibility of rejection, misunderstanding, or hurt. But it is also what makes relationships meaningful and transformative. Without vulnerability, there can be no genuine connection, only surface-level interactions that fail to nourish the deeper needs of the human spirit. The ability to maintain healthy relationships requires emotional intelligence, a skill that involves recognizing, understanding, and managing both our own emotions and those of others. Emotional intelligence allows us to navigate the highs and lows of relationships with grace and resilience. It helps us to communicate effectively, resolve conflicts constructively, and empathize with the perspectives of others. This empathy is not about losing ourselves in another's experience, but about understanding it deeply enough to respond with compassion and wisdom. In doing so, we create a space where both parties feel valued and supported, even during challenging times. One of the most important aspects of mental toughness in relationships is the ability to set boundaries. Boundaries are not walls, they are guidelines that define how we wish to be treated and how we treat others. They are acts of self-respect and self-care, ensuring that we do not lose ourselves in the process of connecting with others. At the same time, boundaries respect the autonomy of the other person, acknowledging that a healthy relationship is a balance of give and take. Setting and maintaining boundaries can be difficult, particularly when we fear conflict or rejection. But it is through these boundaries that relationships find clarity and balance, allowing them to grow in a way that is sustainable and fulfilling. Another key to building resilience in relationships is the practice of forgiveness. Relationships, by their very nature, involve misunderstandings, mistakes, and moments of hurt. When we hold on to these grievances, they become barriers to connection, creating a distance that erodes trust and intimacy. Forgiveness is not about condoning harmful behavior or dismissing our own feelings. It is about releasing the hold that resentment and anger have on us, freeing both ourselves and the other person to move forward. Forgiveness requires strength, as it asks us to confront our pain and choose to let it go, not for the benefit of the other person, but for the health of the relationship and our own peace of mind. Equally important is the ability to communicate openly and honestly. Many relationships falter not because of a lack of love or care, but because of a failure to express feelings, needs, and concerns effectively. Clear communication is the bridge that connects two people, allowing them to understand and support each other in a meaningful way. It requires courage to speak our truth, especially when it feels vulnerable or uncomfortable. But this honesty is what strengthens the bond, building a foundation of trust that can weather the storms of life. In the context of mental toughness, relationships are not just about connection with others, but also about connection with ourselves. How we relate to others often mirrors how we relate to our own inner world. When we are kind, patient, and forgiving with ourselves, we are more likely to extend those qualities to others. Conversely, when we are harsh, critical, or disconnected from our own needs and feelings, these patterns often manifest in our relationships. Developing a healthy relationship with ourselves is therefore a crucial step in building resilience in our connections with others. Resilient relationships also require adaptability. Life is constantly changing, and relationships must evolve to reflect these shifts. This adaptability involves being open to growth, both in ourselves and in others. It means accepting that people will change over time, and that these changes are not necessarily threats to the relationship, but opportunities for deeper understanding and connection. Adaptability also involves recognizing when a relationship is no longer serving the well-being of those involved, and having the courage to let go when necessary. Ending a relationship is never easy, but sometimes it is the healthiest choice for both parties. Relationships are, at their core, collaborative journeys. They require effort, patience, and a willingness to face challenges together. They demand that we show up not as perfect beings, but as individuals willing to learn, grow, and support each other through the complexities of life. It is through these connections that we find strength, not in spite of our vulnerabilities, but because of them. The courage to connect, to remain open and engaged even when it feels difficult, is one of the truest expressions of mental toughness. The ability to adapt is one of the most vital traits a person can cultivate in the pursuit of mental toughness. Life is an unpredictable tapestry, woven with threads of triumphs and trials, joys and setbacks. To navigate its ever-shifting landscape requires more than just endurance. It requires flexibility, creativity, and a willingness to embrace change. Adapting to change is not merely a skill, it is a mindset, a way of approaching the unknown with curiosity rather than fear, with openness rather than resistance. It is the recognition that change, while often unsettling, is a natural and inevitable part of existence, and it is through our response to change that we grow stronger and more resilient. A resistance to change is a deeply ingrained instinct. We find comfort in stability, in routines that offer predictability and control. When these patterns are disrupted, our first reaction is often to cling to what was, to resist the shift and mourn the loss of familiarity. But this resistance only deepens our discomfort, prolonging the process of adjustment and magnifying the challenges that change brings. The energy we expend fighting change could instead be channeled into navigating it with purpose and clarity. The first step toward adaptation, then, is acceptance, the willingness to acknowledge what is, rather than what was or what we wish could be. This does not mean passively resigning ourselves to circumstances, but actively engaging with them, seeking to understand and work within the new reality. Adaptation requires a shift in perspective, a reframing of challenges as opportunities for growth. When faced with change, it is easy to focus on what has lost the comfort, the familiarity, the predictability. But every change also brings with it the possibility of something new, new experiences, new skills, new perspectives. By shifting our focus from loss to potential, we open ourselves to the transformative power of change. This shift is not about denying the difficulties that come with change, but about balancing them with an awareness of its possibilities. It is about cultivating a mindset that sees change not as an enemy to be defeated, but as a teacher to be learned from. Adaptation also involves cultivating a sense of curiosity. When life takes an unexpected turn, it can feel disorienting and even threatening. But curiosity allows us to approach these moments with a sense of exploration rather than dread. It invites us to ask questions, to seek understanding, and to remain open to the lessons that change has to offer. Curiosity transforms uncertainty from a source of anxiety into a space for discovery. It encourages us to experiment, to take risks, and to see what unfolds when we step outside our comfort zones. In this way, curiosity becomes a powerful tool for navigating change, helping us to find our footing even in unfamiliar terrain. Flexibility is another key aspect of adaptation. Life rarely unfolds according to plan, and those who insist on rigidly adhering to their expectations often find themselves frustrated and disheartened. Flexibility allows us to pivot when circumstances shift, to adjust our goals and strategies in response to new information or conditions. It is the ability to bend without breaking, to remain grounded in our core values while adapting to the demands of the moment. Flexibility is not a sign of weakness, but of resilience. It is the recognition that strength lies not in unyielding resistance, but in the ability to flow with the currents of change. Adapting to change also involves cultivating patience. Transformation does not happen overnight, and the process of adjustment can be slow and challenging. There will be moments of discomfort, frustration, and uncertainty. But patience allows us to move through these moments with grace, trusting that the effort we invest in adaptation will yield rewards in time. Patience is the quiet strength that sustains us through the difficulties of change, enabling us to persevere even when the path forward is unclear. Another essential element of adaptation is the willingness to let go. Change often requires us to release what no longer serves us, whether it is a habit, a belief, or even a relationship. This letting go can be painful, as it involves confronting our attachments and acknowledging the impermanence of all things. But it is also liberating, creating space for new growth and possibilities. Letting go is not about forgetting or dismissing the past, but about honoring it while making room for the future. It is an act of courage, a recognition that holding on too tightly can prevent us from moving forward. Adaptation is also deeply tied to resilience. Each time we face and adapt to change, we build our capacity to handle future challenges. We learn to trust in our ability to navigate the unknown, to find solutions and opportunities, even in the midst of uncertainty. This trust becomes a source of inner strength, a wellspring of confidence that carries us through life's ups and downs. The more we practice adaptation, the more resilient we become, and the more we are able to face life's changes with a sense of calm and purpose. At its core, adaptation is about embracing the flow of life. It is about recognizing that change is not an interruption, but a continuation, a reminder that life is dynamic and ever-evolving. To adapt is to remain engaged with this flow, to meet each moment as it comes, and to respond with creativity, flexibility, and courage. It is not a passive process, but an active engagement with the challenges and opportunities of life. In learning to adapt, we discover the profound truth that we are not separate from change, but a part of it. And it is through this engagement that we grow into the fullest expression of our potential.